The emergency sirens on Nova Haven Colony wailed for the first time in 15 years. Skylar Blackwood dropped her maintenance tools, heart pounding as red warning lights flooded the hydroponics bay. Through the curved dome ceiling, she watched in horror as the peaceful orange sky darkened to an ominous purple. The defense grid, her defense grid that she'd helped maintain since she was 16, was failing. "All personnel, this is not a drill," Colony Director Ash Thorne's voice echoed through the facility. "Multiple hostile vessels detected. Class 4 invasion protocols now in effect. All civilians proceed to designated shelter zones immediately." Skylar's hands trembled as she activated her wrist computer. "Dad? Dad, are you there?" "I'm here, Sky." Marshal Zaine Blackwood's voice was steady, but she could hear the tension underneath. "Get to the bunkers. Now." "But the defense systems—" "That's an order, Lieutenant Blackwood. The Karathi are coming." Skylar froze. Everyone knew about the Karathi, the cybernetic warrior race that had been systematically raiding outer colony worlds. They'd avoided human settlements after their catastrophic defeat at Earth decades ago, but now— "They're supposed to be afraid of us," she whispered. "They got bold, or stupid. Either way, we'll remind them why they should be afraid. Now move." Skylar ran for the exit, passing other colonists rushing to safety. She spotted her best friend Taryn helping an elderly couple toward the bunker entrance. His dark skin was slick with sweat as he waved her over. "Sky, help me with Mr. and Mrs. Patel." She grabbed Mrs. Patel's other arm, supporting the woman as the first impacts shook the colony. Above them, the massive shield dome trembled, ghostly patterns of energy rippling across its surface. "How bad is it?" Taryn asked as they hurried down the reinforced corridor. "Bad. It's the Karathi." Taryn cursed. "They're insane. Don't they remember what happened last time? Maybe they think we've gone soft out here on the rim." Skylar helped Mrs. Patel through the bunker doorway. Maybe they need a reminder. 3 hours earlier, Defense Command Marshal Zaine Blackwood stood before the holographic display, watching the Karathi war fleet emerge from hyperspace. 20 ships, each bristling with weapons that could reduce Nova Haven to ash. "They're hailing us," Lieutenant Winter said from her station. "Audio only." Zaine nodded. "Let's hear it." The voice that filled the command center was synthesized, cold, and utterly without mercy. "Human colony designation, Nova Haven. You have 1 planetary rotation to surrender your population for processing. Resistance will result in immediate termination." Zaine smiled, but there was no warmth in it. "This is Marshal Zaine Blackwood of Nova Haven Colony. You are in violation of the Sol Accords. Withdraw now. The Sol Accords do not apply to isolated colonies. You are alone, defenseless. Submit to processing." "Interesting theory." Zaine looked at Winter. "Are they in position?" She checked her readings. "Yes, sir. All ships are within the grid." "Excellent." He turned back to the comm. "You know, there's something you should understand about human colonies. We learned from Earth's early days, from the times when help was too far away, when colonies had to fend for themselves." "Your history lessons are irrelevant," the Karathi commander said. "Prepare for—" "We learned," Zaine continued, his voice hardening, "that the strong must protect the weak, that no human settlement, no matter how small or distant, should ever stand alone." His finger hovered over a hidden panel on his command console. "Would you like to see what that lesson looks like?" He pressed the button. Present time. Skylar and Taryn had just finished getting the last civilians into the bunker when the colony's lights flickered and died. Emergency power kicked in immediately, bathing everything in soft blue light. "What's happening?" someone asked. Before anyone could answer, a new sound filled the air. A deep, resonant tone that seemed to come from everywhere at once. Skylar felt it in her bones, in her blood, in the very air she breathed. "No way," Terran whispered. "They actually built them here." "Built what?" The answer came from above. Through the bunker's monitoring screens, they watched as massive sections of the colony's surface began to move. Not just the obvious defense installations, everything. Parks split open to reveal gleaming launch tubes. Shopping centers rotated to expose weapon ports. The entire colony was transforming. "The Earth Defense Initiative," a quiet voice said. Skylar turned to see Dr. Lyra Vale, the colony's chief scientist, walking toward the screens. "Every human colony has them now. We just never had to use them before." "Use what?" Skylar demanded. Dr. Vale's eyes reflected the blue emergency lights. "The reason the Karathi never attacked Earth again. The reason no one attacks Earth. Quantum-linked combat drones with third-generation AI cores. An entire automated defense fleet hidden right under our feet." On the screens they watched as hundreds of sleek shapes rose from the hidden launch bays. Each one was smaller than the Karathi ships, but they moved with impossible grace, their hulls shifting color to match the star-studded background. "They're beautiful," Skylar breathed. "They're lethal," Dr. Vale corrected. "And they're just the beginning." The colony shook again, but this time it wasn't from an attack. Something vast was emerging from beneath the main agricultural sector, a ship larger than anything Skylar had ever seen. Its surface rippled like liquid metal, weapons ports opening along its length. "That," Dr. Vale said with quiet pride, "is the Guardian. Every colony has one. A last line of defense that becomes the first line of attack." They watched in awe as the massive vessel rose to meet the Karathi fleet, its smaller drone companions swarming around it like protective children. The battle that followed would be spoken of for generations. The Karathi never knew what hit them. The Karathi commander, Nexus 7, watched in disbelief as the supposedly defenseless colony transformed into a fortress. Warning signals flooded his cybernetic interface as hundreds of unknown vessels emerged from hidden bays. "Impossible," he whispered through his vocal synthesizer. "Our scans showed nothing." "Quantum shielding." Marshal Zaine's voice came through the comm, almost cheerful now. "Can't scan what you can't see. Coming up with that tech cost us dearly during the First Contact War. Worth every credit now, though." The Guardian ship rose like an avenging angel, its liquid metal hull catching starlight. Around it, drone ships moved in perfect formation, their AI cores linked in a combat network more sophisticated than anything the Karathi had ever encountered. "Final warning," Zaine announced. "Withdraw or be disabled." Nexus 7's artificial eyes narrowed. "Karathi, do not retreat. Open fire. Destroy them all." The space above Nova Haven erupted in light. Inside the colony bunkers, Skylar pressed against the observation window, watching the battle unfold. The Karathi ships fired first, their energy weapons lighting up the shield dome with devastating force. But the drone ships, the drones just danced. There was no better word for it. They moved like a school of fish, flowing around enemy fire in perfect synchronization. Where Karathi ships were rigid and mechanical, the human drones were fluid, adaptive, alive. "How are they doing that?" Terran asked, his face illuminated by the firefight above. Dr. Vale smiled. "They learn. Every movement, every attack pattern, they analyze and adapt in real time. The AIs work together, sharing data faster than any organic mind could process it." A Karathi cruiser exploded in a brilliant flash, its weapons cut off mid-burst by precise drone strikes. "And the Guardian?" Skylar asked. "What can it do?" Her answer came moments later. The massive vessel's hull rippled, and suddenly there were 2 of it. Then 4. Then 8. "Quantum duplicates," Dr. Vale explained. "Not real ships, they're projections, but the Karathi can't tell which is real. Their targeting systems try to lock onto all of them." "Spreading their fire too thin," Terran finished, understanding dawning. The real Guardian emerged from among its duplicates, its weapons finally opening up. Instead of conventional energy beams, it fired what looked like small spheres of darkness. Wherever they touched a Karathi ship, systems went dark. Localized quantum field disruptors, Dr. Vale said proudly. They temporarily push small areas of space slightly out of phase with normal reality. Nothing too lethal, just enough to disable their ships without killing the crews. Marshal Zaine watched the battle with grim satisfaction. Status report? 15 Karathi vessels disabled, Lieutenant Winter reported. 5 attempting to retreat. The Guardian is moving to intercept. Nexus 7 is hailing us again, another officer called out. Zaine nodded. Put him through. This is impossible. The Karathi commander's synthesized voice shook. We analyzed every colony defense record. Nothing suggested this level of technology. That was the point. Zaine's voice hardened. We remember what you did to Haven 3 30 years ago. All those lives lost because they couldn't defend themselves. We swore. Never again. The resources required, hiding this on every colony. Worth it. Every credit, every hour of work, every sacrifice. Because humanity learned something important after our early days in space. Zaine leaned forward. We learned that distance doesn't make us separate. Every colony, every outpost, every single human settlement is part of Earth. Attack one of us, you attack all of us. In the bunker, Skylar watched as the last Karathi ships were disabled, their engines dark, weapons offline. The Guardian's quantum duplicates faded away as drone ships moved in to secure the dead vessels. What happens to them now? She asked. We help them, Dr. Vale said simply. Skylar turned to stare at her. Help them? They tried to kill us. That's what makes us different. Dr. Vale's eyes were kind but firm. We'll take their crews into custody. Yes, they'll face justice for their actions, but we'll also offer them something they never expected, a chance to change. The bunker's main screen activated, showing Marshal Zaine addressing all colonists. The threat has been neutralized. No casualties on either side. Repair teams are deploying to fix the shield dome, and we have guests coming. Guests? Terran asked. Dr. Vale nodded. Representatives from Earth and 3 other major powers. The Karathi need to understand that this wasn't luck or a single colony's advanced defenses. They need to see that every human settlement is equally protected, that we stand together. 3 days later, Skylar stood in the observation deck, watching repair drones fix the shield dome. Below, the colony's surface had returned to normal, all signs of the hidden defenses concealed once more. The Guardian hung in high orbit, its liquid metal hull rippling occasionally in the sunlight. Terran joined her, holding 2 cups of coffee. Still hard to believe it was here all along. Makes you wonder what else we've got hidden away, Skylar mused, taking one of the cups. That's the point. Her father's voice came from behind them. Marshal Zaine walked up looking tired but satisfied. The galaxy needs to wonder. To remember why attacking human colonies is a bad idea. Did the Karathi commander say why they did it? Skylar asked. They thought we'd gone soft. That our reputation for helping refugees, for offering aid to struggling species, meant we'd lost our edge. He smiled. They confused kindness with weakness. Classic mistake. Through the window, they could see the disabled Karathi ships being towed toward the repair docks. Earth ships had arrived, along with vessels from the Centaurian Alliance in the free worlds of Proxima. All here to witness the aftermath, to remind everyone that humanity stood united. Will they try again? Terran asked quietly. No, Zaine said with certainty. They finally understand. Humanity's greatest strength isn't our weapons or our technology. It's that we protect our own, all of our own. Every colony, every outpost, every settlement. He put his arms around Skylar and Terran. And we always will. Above them, The Guardian continued its eternal watch, a testament to humanity's resolve. In the years to come, the Battle of Nova Haven would be remembered not just as a victory, but as a reminder. You don't attack human colonies, because they're never alone.